Hey, what's going on, everybody? Before we get into this episode 147, I just want to say a huge thank you to our YouTube members. Freak Maniac on that world championship level. You can join here on memberships as well. Great perks, and it helps keep the lights on at this podcast. Other forms of donations, tips, super chats are all available as well. Also, check the links below for all ABJ podcast merchandise, whether it be T Public with pretty much over 200 logos to choose from, or Teespring that has more of a centralized main logos with a lot of cool products. Also, guest links are below as well. So let's have some fun. Let's get into this episode 147, and here's some music by the Converse Kid. What is going on? I forgot to turn off that little screen, but Freak Maniac's going to get a little extra love. But we are here, ABJ Podcast, on streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, as well as on YouTube over on High Tension Wrestling. So make sure you go check out all those platforms, subscribe, or if you're listening to this in your car, a 5-star review goes a long way to help out the podcast. So make sure you're doing that on all major podcast platforms. We're going to get right into this because we're doing a double shot tonight. So immediately following this, I'll be live over on my YouTube channel again for AEW Dynamite. So if you guys are listening to this on the audio side or maybe watching this back, there's tons of content over here on the ABJ Podcast, Anthony Blackwell Jr. YouTube channel. So let's have some fun. Let's bring in my guest today. I'll let him introduce himself and what we got going on. What's up, bud?
What's up, Anthony? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. First off, before we get started, damn you, Suplex. If you make my guest late again, I'm going to come down there, Chris.
They don't know that. They didn't know that.
You on the face. I'm going to kiss you right in the face. No. Huge shout out to Suplex Vintage Wrestling. That's where he was before this. That made him late. But damn you.
No, they made me late. Like we're doing what I love. I love filming. I love filming for wrestling. Chris, the guys over there, they're all amazing.
Oh, they're amazing. I love that shop so much. They've been so kind to me.
I didn't know the shop existed until like Suplex Mania. Like I didn't
really
know it. I honestly, because like I'm still figuring out Philly like to this day. And like when I saw like the advertisements for that, I was like, I knew I needed to show up.
Well, I knew you're done. You don't need to. You don't explore anymore. You found the coolest thing in Philly. Yeah. That's the hangout spot. Yeah. So tell us about yourself. Who are you? And what do you do? Why are we here today?
So my name is Pedro Vasquez. So different from other guests, I am a filmmaker at Drexel University. I'm graduating this weekend, actually, this Friday for the commencement at Citizens Bank Park. And then my specific college, which is the arts.
Oh, and just like that, Pedro's gone. He's out of here. I don't know what happened. I guess he dropped connection. We'll give a quick second here to drop him in. All right, I think he's back.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you thought you were graduating, you just got axed. That's it.
Oh my god, I hope I didn't. Oh my god, I got cut off the list. Well, I am graduating this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and then this Sunday. So I study film and television over at Drexel University, and for my senior project, I wrote, directed, and helped finance and produce a wrestling short film that's going to be screened this Sunday at Drexel's campus, as well as going to be uploaded to YouTube a few weeks afterwards, just so we get like an idea to make sure that it's perfect, and we want to make sure that it's going up. So yeah, we're talking about the film Slow Dancing with Your Demons, a short film about the mental health within the world of professional wrestling when it comes to the hardships and tribulations that my superheroes, and I'm sure anyone watching this, like they look up to. And we're pretty much going to be tackling what it really takes to become a pro wrestler and how does that really go on within your brain, whether it be just putting your body on the line or you're not making enough money to sustain a living as a pro wrestler. That's what we're tackling in this 12-minute short film. And I am so happy and honored to be able to do this and be able to showcase this film because it's a work of art, and I'm really happy that a 22-year-old was able to tell the story.
Yeah. So when did you fall in love with filmmaking and start that process of wanting to go that route?
So filmmaking, it was kind of more, I was still figuring it out as I was going on, especially like in 2018, 2019. It was like during that time frame where I had to look for schools. I had to like look for applying for colleges, especially in high school. Um, and I just, I said, let's sign up for a video editing course, not thinking much of it. And my professor, or no, my teacher in that class, Mizumo, now going by Mrs. Herbert, she was the one who made me really fall in love with the art of filmmaking, especially when it comes to camera work, editing styles, editing techniques. Like that's something that I was just really drawn into, especially coming from a young kid who went to the movie theater every weekend with his dad just to see like the latest Marvel movie or just like any blockbuster action movie like John Wick, like we're always there every weekend to go see it. And I didn't really think much about it, seeing like all these credits scroll down the screen, thinking you can make like a career out of it, until I took this like a basic video editing course in high school. And then in my senior year of high school, I took the advanced course, and that's when I realized, okay, this is what I want to go to school for. This is what I want to spend the rest of my life doing.
Now, when you watch these movies or these films or TV show or anything in general, do you now watch it with a different eye? Like,
that's the one thing I hate about being a film major, just studying film for the last 5 to 6 years. I'm just like, now I can't get over like, oh, I wouldn't make that cut. Oh, that's an interesting jump cut. Or maybe like the mix wasn't done on this.
The camera shake is crazy on this.
The camera shake is insane. Or like, why do we cut to this performance? Are we foreshadowing something later on? And what happens? That thing that was foreshadowing actually happened. So now I'm like, I look at films with a new set of eyes. It's just like now you can't sit down and watch a film and think, because I'm gonna have to pause it and just like analyze the scene frame by frame to make sure like the director, the DP, or everything like that, they knew what they were doing on set.
And that's how I watch pro wrestling.
Now I think what like thinking about like filmmaking techniques and wrestling like at the same time, I look at my TV shows, I look at films, and I look at wrestling differently now, just like understanding like the storytelling fundamentals of things.
Yeah, I definitely don't watch it from the standpoint of like a super critic or I hate on everything, or I'm looking for a reason to pick it apart. Mm-hmm. But it's almost like a magic trick, right? Like you kind of see the trick before it comes, and you're like, man, I can kind of tell you by the max structure who's probably going to win this. And then those rare occasions where they get you, you're like, huh, all right, my love's still in there. It just had to be found. You know what I mean? It's definitely a thing. So you said you went to school. That you said going into this, that's what you wanted to be. You said going to the movie theaters with your dad and stuff has really sparked you to be a filmmaker. Well, what made you turn this corner of, okay, I want to make film, but I also want to maybe showcase this industry of professional wrestling?
I think it was mainly because like it was, for me, it was like freshman year. I told myself like I wanted like not even thinking about senior project. I knew I wanted to make a wrestling movie eventually. I just thought this would be like something like 10 years, like 20 years down the line. And I just thought that it would just be like the coolest thing in the world. And I hate like I don't hate, like what really made me want to dive into it more is because like I guess Roman Reigns in this tribal chief character, that really allowed me to really pay attention to like there's some cinematic tropes in here. And same thing with Bray Wyatt and his Fiend character, or even the Eater of Worlds character. Just those two really pulled me in when it comes to like understanding the film side of things, the film storytelling side of things, or just different types of stories that we see in wrestling. And then that's when I realized, like, are we pulling from like storylines that I've seen like in movies before? Are we pulling in things I've seen like in theater before or TV shows? But then I realized when you actually go back and rewatch some like the older storylines, no, they've been doing this for like a very long time. And I just think it was like the coolest thing in the world, because at the end of the day, my big three when it comes to like what makes my brain at ease is just music, film, entertainment, or TV shows, and wrestling. Like those are like the big three that help make this brain work every morning. But then the same
premise of my entire channel. Yep. Those three things. Yeah. Pop culture, pro wrestling, and music. Yeah.
Yeah. And just realizing that I think when I finally put the pieces together, that's when I realized like this is something that I eventually want to do, just marinate and blend all together the three things that make me who I am today. And I think that was just like a big risk as like as a student filmmaker, as someone who's about to graduate, well, now in a few days, that just someone was able to do that at a very make a wrestling film at a very young age, and I was just like really happy that I was able to take this risk. I was pushed to take this risk because I was toying around with different ideas for my senior project, and all the ones that my Drexel film professors like all kind of really were interested in was the wrestling one, and they told me to shoot for the moon, aim for the stars, take your big leap of faith now because you're young, you're able to do this, and just hope like you're able to stick the landing. And I think we stuck the landing really good here.
So when going forward, if you want to do film and this industry or the pro wrestling industry, where do you see yourself more? Do you want to be more the writer, producer, your brain kind of hit the screen, or you want to be the person behind the camera who captures the shot of maybe somebody else's story, or maybe both? Like, where do you really want to lie when it comes to how you do this?
Definitely both, because I feel like there's different types of fingerprints you can leave on that, especially if you're the man operating the camera or you're the person who's writing the script or coming up with the story together. Either way, there's just always someone who plays an integral part of storytelling. And I know where I stand. Like, I'm still very young. I'm still trying to figure out my place when it comes to film, when it comes to wrestling. And I feel like I'm more along the lines of like starting where it needs to be. So if someone needs a cam up, I'm there. If someone needs like assistant writing, I'm there. Assistant directing, I'm there. So it's me really, I know where I want to be at. I would love to be a writer or director as like my end goal, but I'm all about working my way up and showing the different types of storytelling you can do, whether it be just a sound design and post-production, or even just how you shoot or how you frame your subject and what kind of message are we trying to convey on camera. If you give me any idea when it comes to film, wrestling, music, I will eat it all up. I am that type of person who will take any position.
I've been putting your name out to some people because I feel like would be vital to the independent wrestling scene to kind of come in and just see the equipment being used. Maybe give like a crash course on people how to set up the camera when it comes to frame rates, low light, how would you go about filming this situation? Backstage segments, how can you get creative with it? Just kind of giving like a crash course to a production team on how to use their equipment properly, what they can do to upgrade their equipment, different call outs. So like if you have somebody in your earpiece and you have someone talking to you like, hey, I need this like terminology, you can teach the independent wrestling scene how to film their content better. Because I mean, that's the biggest thing that's lacking is you have WWE now doing these crazy cinematic shots where it's following the person from the gorilla back from the thing, through the crowd, down the audience, into the ring. Like they're coming back from commercial and they're getting real creative on how they bring you back into the action, but taking in the energy of the crowd in a camera shot.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest pro that I've seen like happen when it comes to wrestling. Like just see like all these different angles, vignettes, or just ideas. Wrestling is becoming creative. It's always been creative, but now we're getting creative on the technical side of things, and that's just amazing. And and you said like teach like a crash course. I'm still learning as we go along, so like I would love nothing more than to like teach or just keep on learning from the people who are already doing backstage production when it comes to promos, vignettes, and even like just the complex and simple things of filming a wrestler's entrance. There's so much story that can be told within an entrance, whether it just be looking out to like the crowd, like peeking behind the curtains, or just walking past a former foe or former friend, like that, like just little stuff like that. And I think something that, or like a specific moment that really like gave me goosebumps was Sami Zayn's entrance at Mania 40, because like I was there for Mania 40, and while I couldn't hear from the nosebleeds of like what Sami and KO were talking about, I went home and I just rewatched it. I'm like, oh, this gave me chills. I don't know if
they're my two favorite in wrestling. Adam Cole over on AEW and MJF are my two guys I really look forward to, but then over in WWE, man, I'm a Sami and Kevin guy all day long.
That growing up is when you realize Sami and KO are your heroes. Like that's when you realize like their storytelling and the arc is just all there. And while I didn't follow them like in ROH, because like I didn't know what ROH was until like 2016, like when they were already at WWE. Like just looking back on like how their promos were just so raw and dirty. Yes, it's probably not the best lit shot or best camera angles, but what they were trying to say and convey like their emotion through the promo, I'm like, oh, I want to do that.
Imagine how good they were at conveying those promos and putting those matches together.
Yeah.
Imagine if it wasn't just some guy who bought a camera, put it on hard cam, and then bought other cameras and just gave some people who have no idea how to operate them handheld cameras to go around the ring. Imagine if all those were trained 10%. How much better that production would have been. I'm not even talking about 100% trained, just 10% better than what they were.
Yeah.
That dynamic of that show changes overnight.
It's fascinating. And even then, I think like even with the Steadicam shots that WWE are incorporating, like when coming back from commercial, it's the small things like that. Just hold a shot like as like you're coming back from break, do your pan, walk around the ring, and like hold on it for like a little bit, whether it be a rest hold or if they're gonna or if they hear the babyface is making your comeback or riling up the crowd. Like it is truly like WWE is paying attention to the camera work, and I'm just like I'm just so happy. It makes my heart happy knowing that like I told my classmates, you know, wrestling is cool. They pull inspiration from our favorite films, our favorite TV shows, our favorite theaters, our favorite musicals, and it's
those pull from pro wrestling.
Exactly.
More than people give them credit for.
Exactly. And trying to pitch that into like an audience who or not an audience, my peers and my professors who granted like yes they know wrestling but they don't know it like a geek like me. So I'm like it's really fascinating to see like, and also showing like the first cut of the film, the second cut of the film, even the picture lock version. Like now they're finally invested, like they understand what I see and what I've been trying to tell them all this time, saying like these wrestlers, the storylines pull from our favorite movies, and now they're putting the pieces together. And then when it comes to like seeing Slow Dancing with Your Demons, even the 25-minute version, the 12-minute version, and then the final 9-minute version, like they finally see what I'm trying to like convey, that wrestling is really cinematic, especially when it comes to like their storytelling. Even with the matches, even the matches can pull inspiration from films, from themes and messages from our favorite movies and our favorite TV shows. And it's really awe-inspiring to actually see that. And growing up from someone who idolized John Cena as a kid, who really watched like his afterwards, like his promos with CM Punk in 2011, because that's when I first got into wrestling, like literally after the Summer of Punk. And now really paying attention and growing up and learning all these new film techniques, these storytelling techniques, and seeing it being executed but within my favorite sport, I think it's just the coolest thing imaginable. Just really seeing all my favorite things mesh into one.
Yeah. So how were the beginning stages of putting this together, and when did you really felt like you found your place of doing this? You know, because not only when you go into the filming aspect, you're not someone who was connected into the wrestling scene. You didn't know anybody. You didn't know the wrestlers. Nope. You don't like walking into a wrestling locker room or into an event and they're kind of pulling you on the other side of the curtain, like, is a very intimidating thing as a fan, and then doing that your first time. So what were some of those beginning stages like of contacting your places and filming and then meeting the talent? And was it like a culture shock a little bit?
Sure. So the beginning stages were very difficult, especially when it comes to writing the script, because I didn't know what kind of wrestling story I wanted to tell. And I kind of still didn't really know until the first day of filming, which was like in February of this past year, or of this current. So February 8th is when we first started filming, like first day of filming. And writing the script, I was like really considering like, what did I wanted to tell? What was the goal? What was the meaning? What did I want the story to be? And especially if it needed to be told within 15 minutes, because Drexel wanted the senior thesis for film and televisions to be like less than 15 minutes, and understandable because you have like your rest of your senior class who want to participate in senior showcase. So realistically, it was somehow making a feature-length film 15 minutes. And that was, I think, one of the more challenging parts. So going into like the fall semester or fall quarter of Drexel, I had to not only get a script done, I had to get my pitch deck together. I had to like start assembling a crew. I had to start thinking about actors. I had to start thinking about locations, budgeting, all that fun shebang. I cold called places around Philadelphia. Just like Google search wrestling promotions school in Philadelphia. And while I conversed with some promoters, some wrestlers, I ended up finding someone, and I was able to. It was driving distance too, which was which was like the biggest plus I think I needed, which is like if it's closer to campus, then more people would participate on my set, and then. And then it was also about making sure the location is right, the setting is right, the wrestlers are right for the film. So going within the casting process and being a part of the locker room for like a couple weeks at a time, like every other week, I would go back to the locker room and just like converse with the wrestlers, seeing like who would be interested, pitching the idea, pitching the stories, as well as getting a small crew together to come with me so they can start thinking about lighting design, so they can start thinking about camera blocking, where we put the cameras, tripods, as well as like the microphones too. So like trying to figure out like everything all at once was just a lot to handle. But then also when it came to finding the actors that we need, or the wrestlers that we need to cast for this film, we also needed to figure out, or at least for me, who, number one, chemistry, who would have the best chemistry. Number two, what kind of story do we want to tell within a 15-minute short film and within like the lives of these wrestlers. And the biggest thing that every single wrestler that I spoke to during the casting process, they all said the same thing, is that wrestling is like a drug for them. Like they can't escape it, they can't get rid of it. Once they inject it into their veins, it's in them for the rest of their lives. And just sharing like and going through the script writing process and sharing it with my professors, it was really, we all kind of like went back to the same thing, is that wrestling is like a drug for these performers. I think that you need to idolize that as part of your story. And from there were rewrites. There were a lot of rewrites. I think I still have all the 8 different versions of the script on my hard drive. But at the same time, the hardest part, I think, was just making the story a feature-length story idea into 15 minutes. And I think we finally able to do that within the script, with how we shot it and especially how we edited it. And it really all came together within time, patience, and a whole lot of collaboration, because I would not have been able to do this all by myself.
Who are some of the wrestlers you cast?
Matt Quay and Ian Bush starred this film.
Wait, you cast Ian Bush, that dirty, rotten scumbag?
He and Matt had the best. He is the villain. He is the villain, but in reality, this film doesn't really have like. Yes, it has your protagonist, your antagonist.
Oh,
but
Ian Bush is a scumbag. He's the
villain. He's a scumbag at the same time. Like he's amazing. Like he was really great on set, because like at the same time when we came to casting, like I brought my costume designer and I brought my assistant director with me throughout the in-person casting process. And during the virtual casting process, I brought my producer and casting assistant through the Zoom calls over Christmas break. And we all thought that Matt and Ian, well, they have the best chemistry because they're a tag team, and they perfectly give off like the mentor and mentee relationship that I was also kind of looking for within my film. So that's kind of like what realistically we were going for, is more along the lines of a mentor-mentee relationship that are hooked into this drug known as wrestling, and it's just showing their 2 different perspectives on it. And granted, it's an ambitious story idea, and we managed to pull it off. I think that's something that
I've been telling their story on the independent scene for the better half of 2 years. I've worked with both of them in multiple different companies. Mm-hmm. You pick 2 really good people to tell a story. Like they together and separately can tell some of the best stories in independent wrestling. You pick 2 good people.
Yeah. And they even did it when it comes to the acting, as because they're not Matt Quay and Ian Bush in the film. Their names are Nikki Mason, as Matt Quay played Nikki Mason, and Ian Bush played Logan Haley. And I think both of them really shine, like their personalities just really shine through, whether it be as Matt Quay or as Ian Bush, and just they're like, it's there within the film. And this all could not have been done without like help from other wrestlers like Chris White, who had like a great part within the story, as well as Ethan
Promise.
Yes, Ethan Promise. Yes, I was thinking of like his longer last name, but Ethan Promise. Yes,
love him too.
Like he played the medical trainer in the story, and both all for the wrestlers, and even more wrestlers I even casted as extras, as like extra wrestlers within like in this frame or within the shot. They all play like an integral role of helping a 21 to 22-year-old help figure out how to tell a story about wrestling in a short film. Because I think I needed all like the help and collaboration for me personally, because like while I've been a fan since 2011, I am not a wrestler myself. I'm a student filmmaker who's about to graduate, and with their help with just planning out the matches, the training sequences, the dialogue, like I could not have done it without them, as well as like all the crew who, granted, did not know wrestling like I do or anyone else, but they still were able to figure it out on set. They were able to figure out when it comes to putting what they know into execution and in line with my vision. So I think it's truly, this was not a one-man job. This was everyone you would see in the credits, in the poster, or even in the credits by the end of the film, all played like a big part when it comes to helping create my vision and helping make the story make sense for a film audience. Because that's another thing I found that I thought could have been a little bit challenging, was making wrestling relatable for a common moviegoer audience who may not know this world like us, you know?
Yeah.
And
I always tell people when they go to a wrestling show, I brought a friend one time who was a theater kid and does not like sports whatsoever.
Mhm.
And I said, don't think you're going into this watching a sport. You're watching theater. It's physical theater attached to the character in the story, not the action.
Yeah.
And when they change their mindset on how to consume it, because I think a lot of people turn off from wrestling because the whole time they're trying to trick you to believe what they're doing is real, and you know it's not. So you're trying to nitpick it and pick it apart, knowing you're watching something that's not physically, like, it's predetermined. It's not two people competing. But once you eliminate that and then understand that they're telling a story and not so much the competitive aspect, people appreciate wrestling when you're not so much trying to carny them or trick them.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's something that because I also had a lot of theater kids, because I'm a theater minor at Drexel. I had like a lot of friends from like theater production help me build the set, like when it comes to lighting design and costuming, like the theater people who helped me out within this process, they all understand what I was preaching to them during the pitch meetings.
Ethan's a theater kid. He
told me that too. He told me like him and Chris Weaver wanted to be a part of like this film, like on a like acting wise, especially when it comes, because they had told me they had theater background. They take acting classes. I was like, great, yeah, let's set up a meeting. Like, let's make sure our schedules align, because I think that was the big part too, like making sure that our filming schedule aligned with the wrestling schedule too, because like if I don't have my wrestlers, then I don't have a movie.
And they're not getting away from their drug to film your little project. They need that crowd, brother. So what were some setbacks or adversities you had to overcome in this process? Were maybe some hiccups or things along the way you didn't realize were going to be as difficult as they were?
Come to mind right now, I think it had to do with making a 21-year-old pitching to a class full of other seniors with other ideas that a wrestling film can work, especially in a 15-minute format. That was the biggest part, and also making that make sense within the script. Because at the same time, my other peers within my senior project class, they all did amazing work. They all had like amazing films thesis of their own, and especially when it comes to fighting, choreography, and all that stuff, and actually working with wrestlers and getting the ring, getting the wrestlers themselves to act in the project, to agree to work on a student film. You know, it's all very ambitious. Everyone
what are these other jabronis gonna have? They're gonna have films of them in the woods or them at their house. You have a movie set. You have a legit professional wrestling school movie set, bro. I don't know if there's a winner, but you won.
I mean, I don't want to say there's a competition, but like,
I'm saying it. He's smacking this is pro wrestling, brother. You need to come out here. You got the Rocky Maivia hair. You need to cut a promo. The rest of you jabroni, this is how you introduce your movie. All you
jabronis can sit in the back and let the real star of the show come on.
Filming movies, you're nothing. And this is art. This is theater.
Man,
Yeah, watch this and then everyone go home because this peaked. This peaked for you. Nothing else is gonna be as good, and everything before it's gonna suck. Woo! And then walk out.
Woo! This needs to close out Senior Showcase. I don't know the lineup. I still need to. I wish I know the lineup for what's going first or what's going last. But I'm willing to say this: everyone did an amazing job. They all had like their own senior projects. They all had their visions and executed very well. But no one did a wrestling film at 22 years old.
You're gonna kill it. I'm telling you, you're gonna kill it. Where did you pull inspiration? Like, we watch movies like The Wrestler or now Iron Claw or all these different like Dark Side of the Ring, which do a great job of telling the story of even if you're not a wrestling fan, if you consume that, you're like, you feel what wrestlers feel. And I think Dark Side of the Ring and Vice TV, I think capture that's probably the best I've ever seen besides what we've seen on movies like The Wrestler and stuff like that. Did you pull inspiration from them to try to really invoke those emotions of making a non-wrestling fan feel something for these characters?
Yes, specific. So over the holiday, like December of last year, I rewatched The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke and just figure out on the story element how I want this story.
Mostly shot in Pennsylvania as well.
That's something I didn't really think about until like my equipment room manager it's shared with me the article. I'm like, huh? Okay, the more you know.
Mostly filmed in Allentown, Philly. Yeah.
Let's see. So The Wrestler for the story aspect of things, Iron Claw for how wrestling was shot, because I wanted that golden flare of like the gold, like I guess like a dark dusky yellow of what of a wrestling ring. That's how I wanted to be lit. That's how I wanted to be color graded. And those are two really big inspirations for me. And something that I really didn't really think about as much, but Whiplash with Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. That's a film I really pulled inspiration on, especially when it comes to that mentor and mentee relationship of fighting through outside problems. Because in my film, without giving too much away, you can't blend real life with wrestling, aka real life problems. So say if you're going through a breakup, you're mourning a loss, or you're just dealing with a lot, you're not making a lot of money, you're dealing with a lot of injuries, leave those problems outside because they're going to affect the match in the ring. And I think
you have people who bring those real life problems in, it sells to the audience because it's real, but you don't actually grow in your own brain when it comes to the trauma, and you live it 2 times now because now it's your character and it's something you put in front of the audience.
Damn, I didn't even really think about it like that. You just spent some crazy now.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That happens more than you know as well.
Man, I'm figuring wrestling out more and more every day. It feels like I'm learning more about the sport that I never really thought about, especially when it comes to just like how do you really leave outside problems outside, but somehow you think you want to bring them in to like really enhance a story, enhance a match, enhance a promo, whatever it may be, but you never know what kind of problems they can deal with later on. And that's pretty much what I'm tackling within my film, because at the end of the day, I first pitched this as like a mental health awareness film within my favorite sport. And I still think it still is that film, because at the end of the day, what do you do when you're dealing with an eviction notice and you still want to accomplish your dream as a pro wrestler? How do you handle an injury that's been nagging you for so long, but at the same time, you still want to wrestle? You
don't have health insurance.
Yep. No health insurance either. So so that's kind of like, and I kind of want to put that mentor-mentee relationship, I guess, similar, not very similar, because once you see the film, once it's uploaded onto YouTube, and after the screenings that are happening this weekend, I pulled a lot of inspiration from the relationship between Terrence Fletcher and why am I blanking on Miles Teller? But J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller. Like, I wanted to expand on that relationship instead of in a band in a college classroom. I wanted to expand that within wrestling. And while I feel like there's still more that could have been told, especially if we had more time to tell that story, extended a little bit longer than 15 minutes, go into 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Sure, I would love to dive into it, but for what the time constraint was, or like what I think the story fits the 12-minute mark, You can still get the beginning, the middle, and the end within all that. And you can still get the type of relationship that these two wrestlers have with each other and how they're pushing each other to be their best, even though everything else around them is trying to bring them down. So when you mix the problems you have outside and trying to perfect a character and perfect a match and just have a good showing in front of a roaring audience, it's a lot. And that's something I didn't really think about that until I grew up a little bit and kind of like saw wrestling in a different set with a different pair of eyes, a different set of eyes, and just an aging brain, and just really understanding storytelling elements from classes, from theater, from acting experiences, and how do we put that all together within wrestling. I think that's like one of the most beautiful parts about this film, is that I was able to mix all that together into a neat little bow and showcase how cool wrestling can be from the moveset, from the choreography, from how it was shot, lit, and executed, but also share with it a really sad story. And while that may not be for everyone, a sad story may not be for everyone, I think it's real when it comes. And I think that's why I want to make sure that my audience takes away from this, is that wrestling is scary. It's really freaking scary, not even when it comes to the moveset, but also just like what it does to you on a brain and a mental health aspect.
Yeah, I personally have experiences. I've been very lucky doing this podcast, interviewing wrestlers and talent, and just finding a way to really get to know them as people, right? Not just who they are when they hit the ring. And some of them are playing some of the biggest scumbag, dirty heels in the business that go out and make the crowd absolutely hate them. And then you see them before the match, you're having a conversation. They're like, man, I'm going through it. I'm sad as fuck. I'm depressed. My life sucks. I'm losing everything. And he goes, but then all I have is this weekend and in this locker room. This is the only thing I look forward to every week. And they're essentially at the point where they're ready to break down and have a cry, and then you hug them. You're like, yo, man, I love you. He goes, oh shit, I gotta go do my match. They hit the curtain. They transform into their character. It's almost like they shed that skin of all their outside problems. They leave everything in gorilla and they shed it, and they just transform, and you could see it overtake them. And then they hit the curtain and they go out there. And even though they probably need more love than they ever needed in their life and acceptance, they go out there and play the heel. But them being booed is the love they need, because it's what they need. Well, you know what I mean? Then they come back to that curtain, and then they're still in character. They hit through the curtain. No one sees them. They come back to normal. They just meet the guy they did combat with. They stop. They talk. How was it? Good. Did I hit you here? Was it too hard there? I don't know. Yo, I really loved the crowd. Really like that. Yo, I would add that to your next match. Continue that with your character. Great job. Love you. See you later. Break. Yeah. And then they go back and sit to themselves, and then the real world sets back in. And they just sit back. You know what I mean? Like I've experienced that so many weekends. And they're the moments of this business that I feel like not many people capture. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I had the skills to do like how you were saying, like almost like a documentary style, where you just follow somebody around for a month as a wrestler and just capture what they do. Because I feel like there's so many layers to the independent wrestling scene that people don't understand. And they're all just trying to scratch and claw to get to that moment. And then you have moments like I'm really thankful for, where I got to work with like the Willows and the Action Andretti's, where like they busted their ass and they're there every week, and now they're on TV. You know what I mean? Like, and now it's a whole new game of them fighting and clawing to get to the next level, because they were the big fish in the small pond. Now they did it all over again. Like, it's such a wild business, and that's why I love just learning these industries and diving into it. And I cannot wait, honestly, to see your film.
Thank you.
Some of the questions that were put in here, one of them was, you said your teachers and your peers didn't see the importance of this piece, and how did you find motivation to keep going when it seemed like there wasn't faith in your product?
I wouldn't say there wasn't. Can you pull back up the question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, you were saying before that a lot of people were very supportive of this, and they were excited and pushing you to do it.
I wouldn't say like they weren't supportive. Like, they were shocked that a project like this is going to be executed. They're just like, oh, this could probably like be a few week thing. Oh, this might be something that can like, oh, you get like the execution coming along, but at the same time, oh, like it probably may phase out by the end of it. Like, I guess what really kept me going is my love for this. Like, just showing that I needed this story to be told. And I felt like I was confident enough. I had the ability. I had some peers who were able to like uplift me, show me that, you're the person to tell the story. No, you have like this is a great story to tell, and it feels like a lot of it is falling into place. When it came to casting the wrestlers, getting the location, getting the budget together, getting like the crew together, the right cameras, like then an idea for what lighting it's gonna look like, what sound's gonna look like. This is all a very it's gonna be a challenging project to accomplish, especially within 4 days of filming. We only had 4 days to film all this, and it's just, I wouldn't say there was a lack of support. There was just a lot of concern, and it was up to me to really follow through and show these people, and show my peers and my classmates and my professors that this was a great risk to take. So, and I guess kind of like leave off on that question. Always have like a few people around you who not only will say, who won't say just say yes to like everything, who will actually like see your vision, support you, and just really help you along the way. Because everyone who gets their name listed when it comes to credits on the poster or and by the end of the film, all have helped me one way, shape, or form, and allow me to look at filmmaking in a different set of eyes, especially when it comes to filming wrestling in a form of a short film.
Yeah. And they said, bouncing off the last question, what was it like watching your peers begin to understand wrestling? So anyone seen the finished product, and have you seen that emotion of them understanding what it's like to be in this business? Like, you watch them transform, seeing it. Have you had that experience yet? Or are you kind of waiting for that this Sunday?
Mix of both. So only one person has seen the final version. So I FaceTimed my parents with the version that was before color grade. They said they really liked it. They loved it. They loved the story. And same thing with my aunts and uncles whenever I visit them over Memorial Day weekend in Delaware. But only one person has seen the final version, and that's one of my homies, only because he couldn't make it a senior showcase. He was an extra as part of like the crowd. And he's going to Asia after graduation for like 2 weeks with a couple of his friends, and he wouldn't be able to make it for senior showcase. So I showed him the full version with the score, a sound design, proper mixture, the final color grade, and he was taken aback because he was there on the last day filming for where we were filming like the final match. He saw it like that was already a fun experience enough for him. He saw the 25-minute version of the film, which was pretty much a string out of everything that we shot. The 12-minute version where we just cut it up and finally figured out, my editor and I figured out like how we want to tell this story. And then the final version with just everything put together with the bow, especially when it comes to color grading, the final sound design and the score that goes along within this film, because all that sets the tone and sets the pace for the next 15 minutes.
Are you going to release all 3 versions?
No, no,
I want to see all of them.
So only reason with that is because I do not want to put my colorist and my sound designer through more work than they already have been for me.
I'll tell you this, instead of going, send me a link after this whole weekend's over, I want to see all 3 versions.
All right. I mean, I have them because I also need to spend money on 3 different hard drives. So they're all somewhere. So I need to surf up and make sure I send you the right version. But in my mind, I was thinking about just reaching out to like my guys, and we'll see if this happens. But again, I want to give everyone at least a little bit of a break because you want to get the picture lock, meaning like no more changes to the story, no more changes to the film, over to your colorist, your sound designer, and your composer, because then that's what the final version is, and they want to work on that specific version. I was thinking about
the Snyder cut. We need the Snyder cut.
I was thinking about putting the match in together, fully color graded, sound design, score together too, if needed, and putting that out to YouTube, because like the match itself was like 10 minutes worth of film. I think
Ian and Quay can work too.
We pulled a lot of inspiration from like their prior match over at AXW. They sent me the link to that, and I was like,
the cage match?
No, not the cage match. It was for the AXW title.
Gotcha.
where Quay won that. And
I might be on commentary on that.
Oh crap! This is before we even met, so like this is probably back in November, December of last year, where I'm just like watching this. I'm like, okay, I really have all in my notebook, just notes of like, okay, I like this. Let's transition to this. Let's transition to this. Like, I like it. Or there's parts
and
that
if you need a version where you need a commentary team on it, we can even lay it on the commentary track.
Man, this film has taken a good portion of my life because like I came up with this idea August of last year and it's June of 2024, almost a full year when I'm like thinking about what I wanted my senior project to be and realistically just doing like a full 360 reflection of where we started, where we ended up, and where we finished off. And like this finish line, I'm just so happy that I stuck through it because there were times where like, could this film even work? Am I the right person to tell the story? Am I too young, too ambitious, too naive to like really be able to tell the story? Because I'm young. I never stepped foot in a wrestling locker room, only just seen what I've been allowed to see on TV, and just being able to go back and really converse with all these wrestlers who have their own different stories. I wanted to take all their stories and blend it into one, but then that would not be a full 15-minute cut. That would have been like an hour. But at the same time, there is more to the story that meets the eye. And Ethan, and after filming Wrath, me and my team and I were breaking down. Ethan, the Lost Boys, Matt, Ian, all came up to me with their own different ideas on how to continue the film, how to continue the story.
I have 100 right now.
Like, there's so many different ideas.
I'm like, we need a full length.
Hey, if a producer's watching this, hit me up. Like, hey, I can talk about this all day, and we can talk about how could we branch this even further.
Let's get a crowdfund going. Get a Kickstart going. Let's get some funding to this. Let's get some wrestling fans to put this together after they see it and say, "Do you want to see more than 9 minutes? Let's pay this kid for his work."
We'll ball out. We'll go crazy on this and just
pick great people, man. I love the law. Exactly what you're trying to capture in 9 minutes is what I try to do in a 45-minute to an hour podcast. Like this industry and all industries. I love talking to filmmakers and musicians and all of that because all these industries have these stories. So I'm really, really excited to see it, man. And you picked really good people. Like every single person except Ian, because he's a low life piece of shit scumbag who I've had all in this podcast, you know. But so. Yeah, I was gonna say, when does a full length film come out? But we already talked about that. We're gonna get a crowdfund. We're gonna get going. But outside of filmmaking, what are some of your hobbies or interests that you like to do when you're not consuming wrestling or or filming or stuff like that?
I think it's all. I guess I don't know if this is it probably isn't saying, but I'm probably getting the wording wrong. But work at what you love, or like make your full-time job what you love. I don't realistically see myself not editing, not consuming wrestling, not consuming just pop culture, today's media, because at the end of the day, it just inspires me to come be creative, just think of more things to do. I love spending time with my friends. I can go to a record shop and mindlessly browse like for 3 hours. I love running because I grew up as a cross-country runner for a long portion of my life. I need to get back into it and try to do like a marathon eventually. But in a way, my hobbies are my everyday, and I don't know if that's a good thing or if that's a bad thing. I'm still figuring that out as we go along because I'm
37. I've been doing it the whole time. That's essentially I want to record and make content with my friends and hear people's stories. And it hasn't been fruitful when it comes to like payments, but it's been fruitful mentally for me to help, create my art, but also get people's stories out. So I would say keep chasing it. Like people say, well, you're so good at what you do. I'm like, it's kind of second nature. I'm just doing what I already like. You know what I mean? Like I don't have to play a character. I don't have to be fake. I don't have to make bullshit content that people are going to, have to play a character to be, you know what I mean?
Sure. But it's all about just being yourself at the end of the day. Like I'm figuring out photography too, as we go along. I took like a crash course on it before I graduated. And it really just taught me a lot about how do you convey a story, even without even moving, without having it be a film or a video. You can convey that same emotion within images. And
Page Watchy photography tells some of the most beautiful cinematic photos in professional wrestling that I've ever seen. Same with Eric Pinhat. Mm-hmm. He's actually a wrestler who's also a photographer. Their photos are so well done. It's like you're watching a movie in a photo.
My first time actually taking pictures for wrestling was at Suplex Mania. And that was just like a lot of fun, just like turning off and it was like a goodbye to that old camera too, before I even upgraded like some of my equipment, and just now experimenting with photography with the new camera, with a new set of lens, and with just new insider knowledge of like what wrestlers are really going for when it comes to like their portraits, or what do they want to convey with like this pose, or like with what do we want to use these portraits for. Like it's all there, and I just want to be that person to help capture their stories, because there's just so much more that to storytelling, especially when it comes to wrestling, that I'm figuring out and learning learning every day. And I just want to collaborate and learn more from people who've been in this industry and know a lot more than me, because at the end of the day, I'm 22 and I picked an interesting industry to want to be a part of, but this is like, it feels like it's like the only thing I know, like that, films, storytelling, and just being a good person every now and then. Like I try to be the best person as I can be, as well as like as humble as I can be, learning about the multiple industries I want to make an impact in.
I off topic, not really a question for the podcast, but we'll just ask it here. I know Sunday's your big day. What are you doing Saturday?
I'm also so I have 2 graduations. So Saturday, Saturday is my I guess school graduation, because Drexel is divided by different colleges or different programs. So the arts and media design, aka Westfall, graduation is on Saturday afternoon. Parents are coming up. My parents are coming Friday for my big commencement graduation. Saturday, it's the individual college. My girlfriend's coming up. It's going to be exciting. And then Sunday is the big showcase, and no time for break, because I'm editing more content for Suplex Vintage Wrestling, because that's
I want to get you to more shows. When I next month when I have a show coming up, I'm going to throw you a message. I want to invite you to the show. Let you come backstage if you want to film, if you want to do photography, anything you want to do just to kind of sharpen your skills. Yeah. Come on in, and you'll be with me, and we'll do some cool shit.
Hell yeah. Like for me right now, the goal, I guess, for post-graduation life is continuing where I started, because I didn't know that I wanted to be in wrestling like full-time as a filmmaker, as a storyteller, even as a photographer, until I was really working on this project. And the same professor who or the film administrator, professor, program director, who kind of like nixed a couple of the other ideas that were non-wrestling related for my senior thesis. She told me, it feels like you really want to get into wrestling, like as doing film, writing, and all that stuff. Is that what you want to do? I'm like, I didn't know it was possible for someone like me to do that, but here I am doing it. So yes, I would love for that to be the dream. And I just don't know how soon that can come, because I and sometimes I'm a little impatient. I will like
pro wrestling always needs good, talented people. Just getting the right locker rooms is the trick.
Yeah. And for me, I want to take all of it in. I want to learn from everyone who wants to teach me, and I want to show them what storytelling can be with a new set of eyes, a new brain in the locker room that wants to be creative, who wants to showcase multiple different personalities, characters, arcs, how to get people over, especially when it comes to a short vignette, reel, promo for Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, or whatever. I want to be that person to help that out, because there's so much inspiration in my mind and my body, and I just want to help collaborate with other like-minded individuals, because wrestlers are really creative, and I never really knew that. And just conversing with them, I can see like the sparks matching, especially when we an idea really comes together and we see it in execution, we realize, oh shit, like it's working.
Ian Bush is creative. Just ask him; he'll tell you. He won't shut up about it. He'll keep going and going.
Yeah. Oh my god, we were changing.
He's a very insightful kid. He works hard.
We have been changing up the match for the film till day of filming. My producer would not she wanted us to move faster. Like, but wait, we need to cook for a minute. Like, we don't have the time, but like, we need to perfect this. Like, give us 2 minutes.
Without spoiling it, did Ian try to do color?
Okay.
He's always trying to do color.
He always wanted. I felt like, okay. In a different, so I guess another minor spoiler. There's no blood in this movie, but
Ian fought for it though, right?
He did fall for it.
I knew it.
He did. And I was not opposed to it because looking back in hindsight, I think it would have been pretty badass. But
Tell me I know my people.
we were a student crew. We had safety there. We had a Drexel medical major, like, or someone who was like specialized in EMT came to the set to supervise the safety, and this was like a couple students who were EMT training, like CPR certified and all that stuff. Like they were made sure we had to make sure we had all the safety precautions on standby.
Ian's DNR. If he would have went down, just let him go. Throw him in the trash.
No, I need a man to live.
Imagine how much more popular a movie be if someone dies in it. And it's Ian, That's Tupac money.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything about the film.
I know Ian will watch this when he's DMing me like, you son of a bitch.
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm not spoiling anything about the movie, but Ian's character does not have a happy ending in the way.
Good.
And neither does Matt.
Loop. It goes without saying.
It goes without saying. But at the same time, like,
nobody's happy.
And I think that's something I kind of realized too within developing and crafting the story, is that as much as I wanted to be cool and people were going into, like, my classmates or my peers were going into this as like, oh, this is probably gonna be a fun movie, like you get all this action, this choreography, this like just seeing wrestling portrayed in film, that's gonna be really cool. But when they really take back and like take a step back, they were kind of like a little surprised that I kind of went in a different direction. I'm like, wrestling is not a happy story. Sometimes
the only time they're happy is probably the hour, 2 hours, 3 hours they're at a show. That's their escape. That the moment they walk in the building and they put their gear on and they hit that curtain and they interact with the fans and then they get to talk to the fans at intermission to the moment the fans leave, that when they get back in their car is when life hits them again and they're back to their mundane shit. But that 3 hour gap from the second they walk into the building to the time they leave is probably the happiest moment of their month.
And I think that's just like so heartbreaking, because these are people that I idolize as like heroes of mine that help me get through everything, whether it be like my own mental health challenges or even just turning off my brain and allowing me to be absorbed into their world for like either a few minutes to a few hours. Like it's truly, truly amazing. And I dedicate like wrestling. And that's the only reason why I wanted this film to exist, for me to be the person to tell the story, is because like wrestling saved my life in a way. And it's a little cliche to say like, oh, how does scripted sport save you in a way? Until you've really seen it and understand it from a storytelling aspect and type of messages they're trying to convey, it's one of my favorite forms of storytelling. And I think it's something that, while it may not be for everyone, I think it's something that it really helps people. And if you're really there, like in attendance, especially during the matches where like you see audience members cry and even the wrestlers cry even after the match, during the match, because they're so overwhelmed with joy, emotion, even like as the bell rings and the crowd is just cheering them on for the next 2 to 3 minutes. It's you can tell in their face and their expression, like this is like their happiness, this is their world. But what happens if an artist or a filmmaker takes away their happiness and their joy? That's ultimately what I did as a filmmaker who wrote this story. I took away the necessity that wrestlers need. I took away the drug that keeps the wrestlers alive, in a sense, and within my story, because I think I kind of want to dive into a world. If there is a Slow Dancing with Your Demons 2, my producer will have a headache. She will have like a freak show if we have to do this like all over again. But at the same time, it's like, how do you follow up with that? How do you follow up with the wrestlers' lives without the drug? And like they're off it. Can they live, or will they die without this drug injected into their veins? And I think that's a story that can be tackled, that it can definitely be told. But at the same time, I feel like it's already been told with the wrestler, with Mickey Rourke, because at the end of the day, he can't live without wrestling. He'll live and die in the ring.
And some of those guys become trainers. Some of them become promoters. Some of them become sound guys. Some of them become refs, ring announcers. The whole locker room was filled with guys who either did it until their body couldn't, or did it and it wasn't their fit and they found a different fit within the same industry. So like you never really leave it. You know what I mean? Like it's it's going to be with like for me, like every weekend. I'm not even a wrestler. I'm just, but I got the. It's been injected in me. If I'm not going to a show on a weekend, I get an itch. You know what I mean? Like I want to.
You're craving the next show. You're craving like the next match, your next opportunity. Because you told me you're a commentator, right? Or you work like I can't even like commentating too. Like it feels like that's like an itch. That's a drug. Ring announcing, refereeing. Like it could be just being like the structure, the centerpiece of a match.
Yep,
it goes a long way with
commentary. Like, I need a whole day after a show to regroup and collect myself because for 3-4 hours you're putting yourself through a gamma of emotions. Like you want to be funny.
Yeah.
When there's serious moments, you need to be serious. When you need to tell that major thing, you're essentially on an emotional roller coaster the whole time. And then like a show like Suplex where fans are reaching over the guardrail and hitting you and tapping you because they're excited, and you look around, there's 3,000 people in the street. Like I'll never get that high again. That's the craziest. That's my peak. It was, you know what I mean? Like it was, it's bonkers. But so here's my last two questions here is, what are some words of encouragement for someone who's a beginner, whether it's maybe they can't be a wrestler, but they want to find a way like you have to enter the industry, or just on filmmaking process? What are some advices you would have to some people that want to seek this out?
Have 1 to 2 people always by your side, uplift each other, hold those 2 people in your life who are also filmmakers, who want to be like, if you guys want to form like a little group together, like a small production group for YouTube or Instagram, do that, because those are the friends that will actually help you out and be with you during your ambitious projects. And I think another piece of advice I can give you is never stop trying and never be experimental. There will be people who will have a different idea than you. Listen to the ideas, absorb it, take it in, and even try it out if you want to dabble into it. But always be experimental. Always try something new. There will be no's every now and then, either like no, an idea won't work, or no, or maybe no, this idea is too stupid or too ambitious. Always try, and I learned this within my acting or my theater classes at school. Always try thinking like a yes and, or like try to think of another solution. Have a solutions oriented mindset when it comes to being a filmmaker, a writer, or storyteller within this incredible industry, because you never know, maybe this idea may not work right now, but it could be worked later on, or you can pivot to something else.
Yeah. And then the last one here before we plug your stuff and where people can find you. What are you grateful for? And are you currently happy?
Grateful for my.
We're not grateful for that no rotten good luck son of a bitch Ian Bush before we get anything for.
I'm grateful for my parents, my family, because I was born and raised in Jersey, Central Jersey, if people do believe in Central Jersey, because I'm 10 minutes from Six Flags, 20 minutes from the beach, 30 minutes from North. I'm in Central Jersey.
Are you near like Red Bank?
Yeah, very close to Red Bank.
That's a goal for me. I'm a Kevin Smith guy. I need to be there.
Yep. Monmouth County Freeholds. If you know that. Yeah,
I'm not too familiar. Well, like being from Jersey and you're right by Red Bank, is Kevin Smith a huge inspiration for you?
I started to get so whenever I watched The Walking Dead way back when, I always see like the ads for Kevin Smith, either his shows or his movies. He's not the biggest inspiration of mine, but he's definitely someone I need to do more research on. Especially,
have you watch Clerks?
No, I do not.
Oh, do yourself a favor, watch. So I started as a podcast because of Kevin Smith. So when Kevin Smith wanted to make his first film, he sold all of his comic books and all of his pop culture and all of his collectibles. And he said, this is my dream, is to make movies. And this is my love that's going to help me pay for it. I want my dream to be able to make me buy all that back tenfold. And he sold everything and made Clerks, which was a loosely based story about him working in a convenience store gas station that he lived in Red Bank, New Jersey. And that black and white movie made him who he is today.
Holy crap. Now I need to watch. Where can I find it? YouTube, probably?
Everywhere. It's everywhere. Just, I mean, you got that, Mallrats, Dogma is a good one too. Like, if you like dialogue heavy movies where it's good conversation and makes you think, Kevin Smith's going to be your, like, I can't believe you're that close to Kevin Smith and you don't know anything.
I know, it's a shame. I need to open my horizon more and just pull inspiration from everything and everywhere. To before we wrap up, let's go back
to
your last question. So my parents, if they didn't believe in me, like I would not be here. If they didn't always uplifted me whenever I was down, they were always my number one supporters and advocates. So I thank them every day, and also helping me out within this film because my mom read every version of the script, made all of her notes and suggestions on it. Like I couldn't have done without them. My 87-year-old grandmother, she's still kicking it. Love her to pieces. Love my abuela. Make sure she's still taken care of. I'm grateful for her. I'm grateful for this film. I'm grateful for everyone who helped me out on this film, everyone who gave me a piece of feedback or notes on the initial script, or even just helped me out with the camera, the sound, the lighting, the costuming. Like I couldn't have done it all without them. I couldn't have done it without like the wrestlers like Matt Quay, Ian, Ethan, Chris White. Like they all really helped make this film the way it is right now, and I couldn't have done it without their insight, their knowledge, and their openness to experiment and work with a 22-year-old college student who probably wanted to make a different type of wrestling film, but when they actually sat down, they read the script, they conversed with me, we were brainstorming together, they realized that no, he doesn't want to tear this down. He wants to help us out, and he wants to really hone in on what a different side of wrestling is, and they play ball with me, and I'm really happy that they took the chance with me.
You hit the gold mine and found if honestly, if there was there's probably 30 more people I would have threw at you, but those 4 names would be very high on the list. That if I would have put you in a project to get you in touch with the right people, all 4 of those are great dudes. I love them all to death.
And I can't do without them. And last thing, I guess, in a way I'm grateful for, I'm grateful for just having the opportunity given to me. I guess I'm happy that the film has wrapped successfully, post-production wrapped successfully. I'm thankful for being able to graduate. I'm thankful to having a big audience see this film for the first time this Sunday, and I'm truly grateful and happy that you gave me this chance to really share what this film is all about. And I'm really happy that I'm that one person. I'm one of the few people who wants to tell wrestling cinematically, especially when it comes to storytelling. And I hope if you're watching this, it'll be up on YouTube like within the next couple of weeks, the month the latest, because I want to see if I can add a score here, fix a sound design here, if needed. If not, then it'll be up sooner rather than later. But Slow Dancing with Your Demons is truly an immaculate story, and I can't wait for everyone to see it.
I will have it as soon as it drops on YouTube. It will be linked on this channel.
Awesome.
I will literally make a playlist so it looks like it's one of my videos, but you'll get all the credit for it. I'll have your channel below that everyone can subscribe to it. People will see it, and I know my audience is gonna love it, and the cult of ABJ will firmly be behind you. Where can people find and support you?
Instagram is like my best source of contact. If you want to collaborate, shoot something with me. I'm in the Philadelphia area still, or even New Jersey. I'm willing to travel. Pedro.Vasquez29. That's my Instagram. If you want to keep up to date with the film Instagram, that is Slow Dance with Demons _film. So Slow Dance with Demons _film. And then Pedro.Vasquez29 for my personal Instagram. Collaborate, shoot with me. I really want to learn and collaborate with others, especially if you're in the world of wrestling or filmmaking, or even in music. If you just want to get something out, I am all ears, and I'm an open book when it comes to filmmaking, storytelling, and get other people's content out there, and as well as showcasing my skills behind the camera, and especially in editing too.
I'm gonna definitely be hitting you up when I'm at shows and inviting you anytime you want to come out, because I honestly, like, you showing up and just giving some pointers here and there, I think you'd be instrumental into the locker rooms, and I definitely want to bring you along to some projects and get your name out there and meet more people and make those connections. So when you do another project, you meet more awesome people, and you don't have to book someone like an Ian Bush. You know,
he was great to work with. He was good to work with. But actually, by the end of filming, they gave me a few things. So for number one, for casting them, they gave me like their Bush Quay t-shirt. I'm like, oh, love that already. And then they both signed their own portraits on the back. And Ian's message, I just laugh every time I take a look at it. He says, "Thank you for casting me. Sorry for fucking on my lines." There are times where we had to like slow down production so Ian can remember his lines, and I love this man to pieces. But
I'm surprised he knows how to write his name, to be honest with you. It's crazy you got a good autograph out of him, you know?
No, it was actually kind of crazy to just have him. Like, it was like we were filming in the trainer's room, the medical scene, you will see within the film, and that was like one of our longer nights shooting, because like we had like a little bit of delayed start going into it, and then we're just like and it was late. We're all tired at this point, like not like unreasonable late, like we were shooting, we wanted to wrap at 11, and it was like 10:30 at this point, and
those boys are just getting started at 10:30.
Yeah. and Ian just like kept on messing up this one line. It was just that one line that I just needed perfect, and he got everything else right. He couldn't mess up the filler parts. I would not have cared. He messed up just one part, and then we had to do retake, and my producer was just having a headache about it. I was tired, exhausted, but at the same time, like, this is what we needed, and this is what I needed for this film to like really drive it all home together. And both Macway, Ian, Chris, Ethan, they all really showcased what wrestling is in a different sense, especially when it comes to filmmaking.
Yeah, I'm proud. I'm excited to see it. I will definitely be making the journey on Sunday after my show on Saturday. So I told you I need that day rest. Yeah. I'm not taking my day rest. I'm coming to support and see that show. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Pedro, thank you for coming on. The door's always open. If you want to come do movie reviews with me and over critique movies or some of your favorites, let's come back and do some more content together.
Hell yeah. I mean, there's so many movies I haven't seen. There's probably like I watched Jaws for the first time in film school. Like, that's, you know what?
We're watching fucking Clerks together. Like, you're gonna watch Clerks, and I'm gonna watch Clerks.
All right. You put on Kevin Smith. On Kevin Smith. I'll be there. I'll be there for it. And now,
you watch on your end, and I watch on my end, and then we take down notes. I'll send you the script again, like we did for this podcast, and then we meet on screen like this, and we talk about the movie.
Hell yeah, easy.
We're booking it for. Let me know when your schedule slows down, and we're booking it.
I mean, classes are done. I mean, now it feels like I'm an open book, and now it's just like
we'll set it up for July. You're coming back for July.
Fuck yeah, let's do this.
I love it.
Thanks,
everybody. That'll wrap it up. ABJ Podcast. Make sure you check out the links below for all things ABJ. T-shirts, merch. Follow my guest on both. We didn't put the other page down there. We just have your personal one. But he's going to put in his link on his bio on his Instagram for his other page, so you can just follow that one. Help me out a little bit, brother. But that's what we'll do it. Here's some music by the Converse Kid. We'll see you next time. ABJ Podcast. We'll be back again on Monday. Speaking of movie reviews, Dante's coming back, and we're going to be doing Abigail. And then on the following Monday, Miss Misfits coming in, and she's going to be talking about her Say Gay Drag brunch show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to wrap up Pride Month. We're super excited for them to come in, and that'll do it for the ABJ Podcast. We're gone. Bye.
Bye.
This is an ABJ Podcast production. Join us. Would you kindly join us at the Cult of ABJ Discord community? We'll see you there. Join us.